Yeah. Okay, this is so sick. I am completely blown away by this track. This is amazing, and I'll explain why. So recently I got sent these two new tracks from the brand new Doom game, Doom: The Dark Ages, and I figured I had to give my thoughts as a music producer because I have to say Mick Gordon's original soundtrack for Doom 2016 and his work on Doom Eternal, as many of you might know, really inspired me and was one of the more formative things in my music producer career, as his work really helped me get back into producing a darker, heavier style of sound, which you can hear a lot of demos on the channel. So let's dive on in with the first track, Infernal Chasm. Love the guitar tone already, classic. That high-pass filtered guitar is signature Doom. Okay, so right off the bat, within the first like 10 seconds of hearing the drop, I can tell they're going for something a little bit more traditional metal. Not only in the fact that the guitars are way forward and the synths, if there are any, I think I hear a little pad playing a little melody in the background, they're way further back in the mix. This is a really interesting choice. I'm wondering if they're deciding to do this because they don't want to sound exactly like Gordon, which is totally fair, and the game is a little bit different. But I will say one of the signature things that to me makes the Doom soundtrack so iconic and really spawned an entire subgenre called Argent Metal is its combination of very like crunchy, clipped, distorted synths mixed in with the traditional metal instruments. But then crucially, the entire mix is really, really compressed and heavy and hard hitting, almost like a dance track would be. So here's a quick clip of a song I made that is mixed like that, so you can kind of hear the difference, and then we'll jump right back. So as you can hear, that track, the kick drum is way louder and the synths, they kind of sit on top of the mix. They add that really like crispy and crunchy and sort of like non-human sound. Whereas this soundtrack from Finishing Move Inc., it really does feel a little bit more like Doom is going back to its metal roots, which is cool. I think a lot of people will appreciate that. For me personally, there's just a little bit of like crispiness and high frequency that I'm wanting to hear. Okay, this is sick. Best part so far. Okay, yeah, so I think this part of the song is a lot more my cup of tea than the intro. This is so sick. This sounds really, really like they've earned this metal payoff, and the breakdown there, short little breakdown, but they're doing that kind of like dissonant, repeating 8th note, 16th note riff, which was previously done with synths, but they've chosen to do it with guitars here, which again, I love it. This is such a cool stylistic choice, but I feel like it might be missing something. Oh man, that riff is absolutely huge. Okay, yeah, so we're back to traditional metal. Well, I guess we'd never really left traditional metal with this track, which again, like, I really like it, but I do feel like it's a slightly disappointing track for me. I'll wait till the end to see, just in the sense that I'm missing that extra little bit of crispiness. We'll see what we can do. I'm gonna have some fun with this in a second in the DAW to see what I can add. Yeah, so both the breakdowns, they're going for that traditional like filtered metal guitar, and yeah, it's dissonant, it's exciting, but I think the violent and frantic nature of Doom sometimes almost benefits from the synth work and the kind of chaotic style of industrial synth work that I do feel like is missing here. Here's another quick clip from one of my tracks that shows you the kind of breakdown I'm talking about. Okay, let's wrap this one up here. Okay, so overall, I think that track was solid, but I'm a little disappointed. I must confess that there wasn't more synth work. And again, I'm totally willing to admit that it's my taste personally. I think mix-wise, production-wise, it's perfect. Like, they're obviously pros. They know what they're doing. The mix is beautiful. It sounds like a really punchy and spacious modern metal track. But I'm still just missing a little bit of that, like specifically the crunch and the oversaturated, clipped, hard-clipped synth sounds that usually sit on top of the mix. So let's jump into my DAW here for a second. I want to have some fun and see if I can add one or two things so you can hear what I'm talking about. Okay, so I just downloaded the audio from YouTube, and for fun, I added a couple of these synth and industrial sounds over top so you can kind of hear like with and without and make up your own mind if you think that the modern metal works for the Doom soundtrack or if it does need that last little bit of like extra aggression from a more synth forward mix like the last soundtracks had. So here's with what I added. And without. With. Right, so up to you if you like it better before or after, but what I added, and again, I just did this really quickly, it really brings out that like last bit of aggression that I think made the previous two Doom soundtracks like fit the frantic nature of the game so much and kind of really pushed forward sound design and inspired a lot of producers like myself. And I think it's really cool that they're not just fully copying him, and I can definitely hear like a lot of different identity in this track, but I do feel, for my ears at least, like mix-wise and aggression-wise, it would maybe benefit from some of these more industrial style, like crispy sounds on top that are so iconic to what we consider Doom today. Let's go check out the next track. Okay, so the second track is called When the Shadows First Lengthened, and this is the main menu theme. So I have high expectations for this one because the main menu theme in the last two Doom games were amazing and some of the most lit songs. Hilarious to say, but they really were that good. Let's check it out. Okay, we got that stringed instrument again. I love to see that. I actually don't know what that is, and that's already adding a lot of personality beyond what I felt the first track was, which was a little bit more classic metal. That dissonance. Oh my gosh. Okay, I already like this track about 10 times more than the first one, I have to say. That buildup, I'm just gonna rewind that a little bit there. I can't tell if they're doing that with acoustic instruments or with synths, but they're doing this amazing thing where they're combining a bunch of different dissonant rising textures and a mix of low bassy sounds, but also most importantly, really kind of grating bowed sounds that are creating this amazing dissonance and intensity in the build. I'm really starting to get a feel for the identity of this game's soundtrack where, because again, it's more focused on the Dark Ages, going back, this focus on these bowed instruments, I think if they dial down on this more in this track, this could be really, really sick. The tribal drums, love it. All right. Is it gonna drop? Oh, Pro 1. There we go, we got the synths in there. That was a Pro 1. And a Hydrasynth. Woo! Yeah. Okay, this is so sick. I am completely blown away by this track. This is amazing, and I'll explain why. Okay, so while I felt the first track was definitely a banger, but it lacked a little bit of intensity, and I suggested using synths, I actually love what they've done here where they've doubled down on the acoustic bowed instruments, and that breakdown was incredible, where they're playing with dynamics, which is one of the things that really strong and skilled producers do really well, is if you have something that is loud all the time, it's never that impressive when it's just playing. Your ears get used to it. Our ears are natural compressors. So by having this moment of almost silence where the synths just slowly build up, and I think I saw a Pro 1 in there, a Hydra synth, great synth choices. Pro 1 is a classic vintage synth, Hydra synth, beautiful modern synth. I just absolutely love how they take their time. They know they have something good coming and they build up to it. Let's listen to that one more time. Yeah, the synths are definitely in there. It's so heavy. I love the use of just like doubling down on a baritone guitar that's probably tuned as low as its strings action will possibly take it. That is one of the lowest notes that I've heard on a guitar that still has the punch and high ends. This track to me is just an amazing song. Let's keep going. And there's that top layer that I thought was missing from the other track. That is so cool. My guess is that they're using that bowed instrument, which someone let me know in the comments below if you know what it's called, layered with the synths we saw earlier, probably layered with like a classic analog patch that's being distorted on the Pro 1, and then layered with some sort of digital patch on the Hydra, which creates this like otherworldly sound, but one that's still organic and still feels appropriate for the fact that this game is going back in time. Amazing track. Wow. Okay, guys, Finishing Move Inc., bravo. I think the first track, I would love to hear the full mix of it in more context to see if, that's for a specific part of the game where we want to throw it back to classic metal. But all my gripes with the first track about maybe not having the same kind of identity that I felt that Mick's original soundtrack had, this track just completely puts those fears to rest. That's an absolutely amazing track, and it has such a cool identity where, to my ears at least, it felt like it hit all of the spots that I want to hear, where even though the BPM was slower, it had this wonderful crispiness to it, this really powerful high end, and it had a melody. Because one of the things that I think made the original Doom 2016 and Eternal soundtracks so iconic and really beloved by a lot of mainstream audiences is that despite how heavy they were, a lot of those like top lines with synths that Mick used were really catchy. And I'm gonna play this part one more over here, just when the strings come in, here. Yeah, to me, that is like the essence of what makes Doom music so good. Anyways, let me know if you enjoyed this reaction video. Hopefully you did. And if not, it was still fun to make. As I mentioned, Doom is one of my all-time favorite musical influences. A lot of people are surprised to hear that because my music, as Miles Away, is pretty chill and melodic. But yeah, the Doom soundtracks, I regularly reference them. I've done a bunch of tracks inspired by them. And if this video gets 1,000 likes, I will do my own fan version of the Doom The Dark Ages OST and kind of show you guys my idea for what it could sound like with more synthesizers. Let me know if you want to see that, like and subscribe and comment. And thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in music production and synthesizers, you're in the right place. I'll see you in the next video.